Hey guys, it's Kevin again, and this is going to be my review for Once Upon a Time, Season 3, Episode 21, Snowdrift. And this was the first part of the two-part finale. You know, there were two parts of this finale. This was the first part. And overall, I must say, it was a great episode. I really enjoyed what they did with this episode. You know, the beginning of this episode is basically in the present, but most of this episode takes place in the past, with like an altered past. It was really cool. And the one thing that I will say that was a little strange, you know, I was very surprised that Zelena, you know, was dead. I was surprised that that did happen, and I didn't expect that to happen, but I was surprised that Zelena was officially dead. I thought she was going to come back in this finale, but that did not happen. Basically, I will say overall, though, it was a really good finale, so yeah. By the way, guys, I'm just going to tell you this now. I am probably not going to watch Once Upon a Time next year. It's not that the show's bad. I'm just kind of not as into it as I used to be. So, these final two reviews will be my final Once Upon a Time reviews. I'm sorry, guys. They just will be. Let's get to my review, though. Alright. So, at a group home, we're at a group home 18 years ago. We see this little girl who gets a Mickey Mouse doll. Of course, they had to give us Mickey Mouse because, you know, it's Disney. So, yeah. She's driven away by her adopted parents. Emma watches them go with tears in her eyes. The woman is running the place, tell her that they'll find a home safely. We see like I say like 16-year-old Emma, so yeah, now we're in the present, and Emma's watching her parents with their son. They ask if she's okay. She asks what her brother's name is, and David tells her they announce names at a coronation ceremony, and Emma asks if it's like the Lion King. So David says they'll do a potluck at Granny's to suffice Henry, and then Henry comes in, who Henry, by the way, barely in the episode, which I guess was great, because Henry I do not like Henry. Henry tells Emma that he found them in his apartment in Storybrooke. She changes the subject, and basically, hang on one second. Okay. She changes the subject to his uncle's name, and Regina and Robin toast to the return of her heart, and she tells him it's stronger than ever. They kiss, and she looks very upset, and he asks what's wrong. She says she never thought she would have this. Robin says after his wife died, he felt like that for a long time. He says her death was his fault. Her death was his fault, basically, and, Robin says he felt like that for a long time, so Regina says that her first love, Danny, was killed because of her, but Tinkerbell told her she would love again. She tells him about the tavern and that she never saw the face of the man she was supposed to be with, but she saw his tattoo, touches his arm, he's shocked, and she says she never had the nerve to approach him. He says it's all about timing. Gold hides away the real Dark One dagger and seals the hiding place with magic in a cabinet. He then locks it, and then Belle comes in with the fake dagger, and she says she wants to store it somewhere safely because she feels bad carrying it around. So he tells her he understands. He says it's not dangerous because he does trust her, and he wants to talk about their wedding, and she says her father has given them his blessing. And, you know, it's really great that they're getting married. I think I was very happy for them when they got married because, let's just face it, as much as I love Emma and Hook, Rumpelstiltskin and Belle are the best couple on this show, by far. So then there's a big, sort of like a celebration of the baby being born. They're at Granny's, and the whole town is turned out. Henry's reading to his uncle the book, and he's reading the story about how Snow White and you know, and David first met when she was robbing him. Snow says that's what they met, not when they fell in love. David flips through the books. He says he knows when his mother's ring on her finger. He knew. And Hook is there, and they explain he was betrothed to Abigail, Midas's daughter. And Hook asks how he could give that up. Snow says something about running away and leaving things behind. When Emma tries to change the subject, everyone wants to know if Emma's planning on leaving Storybrooke. But Emma says this is not the time or place to basically say that, and then she leaves. So Hook says he'll talk to her. Henry tells him to take the book and says it might remind him of where she belongs. Henry points out the window to a yellow light in the sky. Gold says that's a problem. He says it's the time portal that Zelena opened, and everyone stares. They're very worried at this point. So the gang goes over to the jail to confront Zelena, but of course, Zelena's gone because she's dead. So, you know, she's dead. So basically, he magics the cameras, and then the footage shows Zelena turning into porcelain and then shattering. So Regina says she must have had enough residual magic to do herself in. Gold says they owe him an apology, and then says until they figure out how to close it, no one should go near the portal because it could have catastrophic repercussions. So, for the rest of the episode, it is Hook and Emma basically in this weird, altered version of the past. You know, he finds Emma, she says she doesn't want to talk about it, she says she needs to take Henry away to keep him safe, and Hook says it's crap because she has defeated all the evil, and Emma tells him that when she was a kid, she used to run away all the time, never missed any place. Emma says home is the place when you leave, you miss it. She says she's going to keep running until she feels it. Hook asks if she doesn't have any feelings for anyone in town. She says she does care about them. So Emma notices the yellow stream, says she needs to check it out. Hook tells her not to, but of course she goes. She says they had to figure out a way to close it, but instead they are dragged towards it. Emma dangles in the portal. Hook tries to hold on to her. She falls in, and he says one day he's going to stop chasing that woman. He goes in after her. Her phone lies on the floor on the barn, and, you know, David was trying to call her. So Emma notices the yellow stream and says she needs to check it out. Hook tells her not to, but of course they go, and basically they're now in the Enchanted Forest, and he says he wonders where they are, and she says she has a good idea. She sees a wanted poster for her mom, so obviously it says Snow White, the infamous bandit, so that's not good, obviously. This is an altered version of the past. Clearly that's where they are. So Hook says it could have been worse as Emma flips through the book. She says she thinks they went to where and when she was thinking about it. Hook says the portal's closed and they can't get back, and Emma complains that this wouldn't happen in New York. He asks if they have any ideas, and she asks if he thinks she's Marty McFly, and Hook asks if he's a wizard, and Emma says they need a wizard, and who they find, you know, they then find Regina. She gets out of her carriage, chews out some serfs, and she tells them she's going to inflict pain and misery if she doesn't get what she wants. So Emma wants to go help, but Hook yanks her back, says that they can't interfere with anyone, they'll never be able to go back to the world they left, so that's obviously not good. So they steal some clothes for Emma, and Hook is liking her. Basically, she's, you know, showing a lot of cleavage, so he likes that. He tells her that they can't call attention to her, and her red leather jacket is not in vogue for centuries. She complains about the corset, but Hook says he likes it. And then, basically, they have to pretend to be they have to pretend to be other people. And then we see David, but he's not with, you know, Snow White. He's with this girl, Abigail. So she whines, and he ignores her while insisting that he's listening. Hook pulls Emma off the rose. They hear another carriage that stops, and Abigail asks, what now? David gets out. Emma's thrilled. She realizes they are about to win. It's the moment when her parents met. But she makes a noise, and snow falls from her hiding spot, which gives David enough time to discover that the down tree was a robbery attempt. So they don't meet. So obviously now they have altered the past. So that's obviously not good. So basically, Charming looks at Abigail's home castle, says it's gold, and she tells him he'll get used to it. And Emma tells him if she wants to see his son again, he'll stop and listen. She tells him she knows about the curse, and he says he's just planning it. She says she's the one that broke it, and Hook says they are from the future. He says time travel hasn't been invented, and she tells him someone cracked the code. He asks if he finds his son, and she says yes. He says he's not to tell him how, so it doesn't change anything, but she says she's already thrown off, and she interrupted her parents' meeting, so he brings him to the castle, and then Belle is there. She asks if they need anything, and Emma covers and says that Rumple told her about her. He says no, then he orders Belle out and threatens to turn her into a toad. She goes, and Emma says she doesn't know how they've ever fell in love. He's shocked about that. She explains that Charming is supposed to meet Snow, and she tells Hook to show him the book. But the problem is that all of these pages are now gone because they alter the past. So the book is blank at this point, which is pretty surprising. Emma says they have to get Snow to steal the ring to put it all back on track. And Rumple says, you know, they meet up with Rumpelstiltskin, and he basically says there's a ball at Mias's house that night, and they say they need to get to Snow to the ball tonight to steal the ring. Rumple shows him his crystal ball, and they say Snow, and they see Snow trying to get passage out with Blackbeard. So Rumple says they have to get their parents back together since they messed it up. And Hook says he knows someone that can help them. And the other Hook is gaming in the tavern, and Hook with Emma points himself out. That's who they're going to help. So basically, they are completely drunk at this point. You know, he says he's drunk enough that he shouldn't remember anything. Emma's going to distract him, takes off her cloak to show her cleavage. And he says, oh, that was disgusting. He says, sorry, I was drinking my drink and it just spilled all over me. That was disgusting. He asks what she's doing, and Hook is jealous of himself. Emma finds it funny. He tells her to be careful. She says she knows that she's this type. A lot of chemistry here from Emma and Hook this whole episode. I mean, clearly this whole episode, you pretty much knew they were going to get together in the end of this episode, because you could just tell from this episode. Emma goes over and asks what they're playing. She has the other Hook's attention immediately. Smee is chasing rats on the ship, and Hook comes on board. And he tells Hook he seems different, and Hook chews out to distract him. He tells Smee that he needs to get a woman on board and points out Snow. He tells her to bring her on board quietly. And Emma at this point is drinking shots with Hook and touches his hook and asks how he got it. He asks her name, and she asks what fun that would be. He offers to show her his ship, but she has to stay and have a few more drinks first. Snow comes on board. Hook sits in the shadows. She asks what he wants, and he says he heard she wanted passage out of the Enchanted Forest. And she says she has no money, and he says it's the treasure he wants. He unrolls her wanted poster, let her know he knows who she is. And Emma distracts him by flirting, and Hook tells Smee to get lost so he can have privacy. Emma heads down the ladder, and Hook asks why she's there. She says she stalled as long as she could. Then other Hook comes down the ladder and asks if she's having scared thoughts. Kisses her. President Hook glares them and punches him out. And Hook and Emma are watching the fireworks at the castle and worry that Snow might not be able to pull it off. So she worries about leaving it to chance. Rumble pops up with an invitation, and so they can go to the ball to make sure it happens. He tells them he has a wand that can reproduce any magic, and he should be able to redo the portal spell. So they snatch the invitation and head off, but then Rumble magics them like a fair godfather, and she's in a beautiful red gown. And he says she can't come this far and not have time playing dress up as a princess. And basically, to them, they don't look like, to everyone else, they don't look like themselves, and that's they're going to pull it off. So they come to the ball, and King Midas asks their names. Hook is stammering, and Emma speaks up, and I thought it was hilarious at what they said they are. Emma says that Hook is Prince Charles, and she is Princess Leia. I mean, that was hilarious. I thought that definitely was probably one of the funniest scenes, because they clearly don't know what they're doing. I definitely thought that was a pretty funny scene, in my opinion. I enjoyed that. So yeah, that was definitely pretty funny. So then what happens is they go in and Emma asks what's the big deal about balls, but then is transfixed with the dancing in the gowns. She asks what they should do, and he says to blend in. Pulls her on the floor for a while. She's floored that he knows how to do that, and he leads her through it gracefully. And outside the castle, Snow throws a grappling hook, scales the castle walls to set about her thrivery, and she hops onto a landing, sneaks inside. Emma's nervous, and Hook says that he's just remembering her staying in Storybrooke, that she's not a princess. He tells her that she's a natural at it. Emma sees David, and as he's asking about his fiancée to dance, but she complains about her feet hurting. She says she wants her comfortable shoes, and he offers to get them for her. You can just see that Abigail's she's such a bitch to him. So then the very end of the episode, we see that Snow finds a ring, and he has it in hand when Charming comes into his chamber. He asks who she is, calls her a thief. He tackles her, and then is stunned because it's a woman, knocks him out, prepares to leap out the window. Abigail comes in, recognizes her from her wanted poster. The guards alert Midas that Snow White's in the castle. So they just altered how Snow and Charming met. This whole episode, by the way, it felt like Back to the Future. It really did. That's what I felt like I was watching. I felt like I was watching Back to the Future, because it's all, get your parents back together. You know, that's what it felt like. I definitely thought that was interesting. Emma and Hook race up to see that she makes it back down the castle wall and away. Emma says she must have stolen the ring, and she rides away on her horse as Charming yells out that he will find out no matter what. A guard is there and has an arrow nooked to shoot Snow White, knocks him aside, then spots the ring on the ground, and guess who comes out? She runs down the stairs. The guards tell them that she helped the thief escape, and Emma calls her Regina, and the Queen says that's informal, and she needs to call her Your Majesty. Regina tells them that Snow White may be gone, but her night is just beginning. Hook hides out behind some people and watches as Emma is led away, ring in hand. So, that is the end of part 1. Overall, I did not see part 2 yet. I'm just going to say that I did not see part 2. I'm going to see part 2 tomorrow. But, let me just say, what did I think of part 1 overall? Part 1 for me, I thought it was definitely really, really good. I definitely thought I enjoyed part 1 a lot. There's a lot of answers, of course. You know, are they going to be able to get get Snow and David back together? Are they going to be able to get them back together? I really hope they do. Are they going to be able to fix the past? I think they're going to be able to. You see what happens there. What else is going to happen? Are they going to get back? You know, they have to get home, obviously. Also, is Zelena possibly going to come back? I kind of feel like she is going to come back in the second half of this episode, which I still have not seen yet, so we'll have to see how that ends. But that's it for my review. Hope you enjoyed it, and my next review will be for Game of Thrones. So, see you then. Bye.